The VHS tape dated 2008, shows a child named June and his father, James, being recorded by Grace Allen, who calls her Junebug. Soon, as the child's mother enters the room, the camera shifts to recording June and his father. His father starts bleeding from his nose. It is at that instance where the tape is trimmed, renamed to Last Family Trip and saved into a folder called For June. The scene then transitions to coverage of an accident second episode of the show called Unfiction that June is watching. June receives a video call from her mother. During the call, Grace Allen, June's mother, provides instructions on how certain things are going to be in June's life and that she must write it down, i.e., keeping the service location on. June gets frustrated with what she terms as babysitting and tells Grace not to call her Junebug. Grace insists that she needs to know if her daughter is safe. Then, she transfers some money to June's account, so that she can spend it in the event of an emergency. A total of $120 is transferred to Vina for the preparation of a party at her place. While June does this, Kevin, Grace's boyfriend, intervenes. June does not buy the emotional backstory that Kevin has for being part of the family, but is soon sent by Grace to catch the Uber as they leave for Colombia. Grace leaves to say goodbye before she leaves. Soon as June receives the text from Kevin that both he and Grace have arrived in Colombia, June sends a Snapchat streak to everyone saying that she has gone to hype them up for the party. Unfortunately, Heather, a lawyer, and June's caretaker, crashes the plan for the party when Vina is on the call with June. Heather leaves, giving Grace the freedom to party with her friends. Kevin occasionally sends photos of him and Grace enjoying the vacation. June extravagantly spends her money to have an enjoyable time with her friends, until Father's Day when she misses her late father and is affected. To forget the former thought, she continues to party with her friends. However, she consumes too alcohol to ignore the thought and passes out at a moment. She misses James and watches her old family videos and even posts a family photo on social media wishing that her dad were alive. The next morning, June wakes up to pick up Kevin and Grace. What she was supposed to do at 11 a.m. she hires housekeeping services to clean the mess from the party. She sets out to LAX airport and holds a playing card saying welcome back from prison to welcome her mom, specifically. Hours go by, but she does not find her mother. June texts and FaceTime Grace, but it turns out to be useless. June checks up at Hotel Pomarosa to inquire about Kevin and Grace. She uses a translator to translate Spanish to English as the representative only happens to speak Spanish. She comes to know that Kevin and Grace have left everything that they had in the hotel room. June requests the CCTV camera footage. On the contrary, the footage lasts 48 hours of the total reel before it overwrites itself. As June does not have money now, she gets in touch with Heather for help as she cannot travel. Heather contacts the Colombian embassy to check for both Kevin and Grace. June is directed to fill out a report form that conforms to the foreigners who have gone missing in Colombia. The next day, June gets a call from the embassy, and she requests the embassy's agent, Elijah Park, to send someone over to the hotel before the footage is overwritten. Elijah requests June to propose any information or her mail account that can help to track her. June tries various probable passwords but fails. Afterwards, Vina suggests that she should check out live cameras to look out for her mother. However, the live cameras were only for famous locations. June then hires the cheapest housekeeper, Javier, from Go Ninja, who agrees to grab the footage from the hotel as it reminds him of his son who has not been around for long. Javier suggests that she can also use the alternative remedy to track Kevin if she cannot find her mother. Vina comes to help June in finding her mother. From the websites and socials that Kevin used, June and Vina recover the password for Kevin's Google account while Vina impersonates a male's voice to respond to customer care service. On June 13, Kevin and Grace were supposed to arrive, yet no history of Kevin's last location can be found by both. Javier calls June to let her know that he went to the hotel, but the CCTV record of the day Grace went missing is wiped out. Javier adds that the housekeeper, who has been in school with his son, has seen 2 American tourists leave the room. Suddenly, it comes to the conscience of June to check for Kevin's credit card history. June figures out that the last transaction was made in Getsemani. Javier suggests that he makes a transaction with Kevin's account details in Getsemani hardware stores to see if the transaction matches. Then, while June is on a call with Heather, she finds out that Kevin was cheating on Grace. Vina suggests June check the block list as now it seemed like the situation was the same as in the show Unfictional. The people who have been blocked were texting Kevin, calling him by different names, i.e., Luke, Kyle, etc., and he had run away with their money. June surfs the internet for Kevin's previous criminal conduct if he has any. She finds out that Kevin had been convicted and has spent 3 years in East Ham Federal Prison for what he has done to those people. June is curious about the bunny cake email that Kevin received this year. She checks up for her and she has also been missing for 2 weeks. June comes across a mysterious location that Kevin has visited while she was looking for his history with bunny cake. She comes in contact with a person, named Jimmy, who tells her that the place is a re-entry program for people who have already been convicted to move on from their past life. Jimmy says that Kevin had always said wonderful things about Grace and that she was not another victim. Javier finds out the hardware store where Kevin had last bought a lock. June finds out that her mother had met Kevin through a dating app and that he had talked about his record too. Trying hard to find the place where Kevin and Grace could be, she comes across the walled city love lock bridge, having similar images to the lock that Kevin had purchased. Javier confirms the presence of the lock at the said place. As the place is famous and as June had previously known, live cameras target only famous places in Colombia. Therefore, she looks up the live camera archives for the day her mother went missing. She notices that Kevin proposed to Grace at the walled city love lock bridge that day. Agent Park sends June footage where it can clearly be seen that Kevin and Grace were abducted that day. Later, from the chat box, after seeing uncanny references, June finds out that Kevin consented to Colombia with bunny cake, also known as Rachel Page, instead of Grace. FBI also confirms that Rachel had impersonated Grace for the vacation. It is believed that Grace has been kidnapped while she was on her way to the LAX airport. As we have seen that Grace had sent Kevin to set out for Uber towards the airport, there is no record of the Uber ride as well. The FBI had come across a group of young local students who claim that the Kevin had paid them to play a movie scene where they fake a kidnapping scene. On a flight to Los Angeles, the police arrest Rachel. However, she gets bailed out and she tells the media that the whole scenario had tempted her because Kevin had said that this is all a part of a reality show. It is found out that Grace Allen is a court-sealed alias's identity. Agent Park asks June about it, but she does not know anything about it. The news spreads all over the media, but Agent Park asserts that Grace is not the main suspect in this case, at least for now. Being confused about her mother's identity, June comes across a secret messaging app where Kevin has had a conversation with an anonymous person. June texts the person, asking for its phone number. Turns out, this person is Heather herself when June cross-checks with her phone book. June sets out to meet Heather at her office to get more insight, and she wears a watch that has a built-in camera. Heather's office looks empty, and the files are being erased from her desktop. At the table, she finds photos threatening Heather's life. As June looks in further, she comes across the dead body of Heather. Agent Park suggests that Heather was after all protecting her, by getting to the roots of what Kevin knew and got killed in the end. The camera then transitions to a screen where someone is spying on June's MacBook. The anonymous person is chatting with Kevin. Kevin asks for his help, but the person flatly refuses, saying that his money has already been paid. The police find Kevin in Colombia and when he tries to run away, they shoot him, and he dies. Later, June starts listening to the unread voicemails that her mom left her with. Here, she gets reminded of her childhood name, Junebug. She tries to log into her mother's Google account with a password affiliated with this name. She gets the access and checks for the blocked persons. It has a suspicious messages telling Grace that June has to know something. While connecting the dots, June finds this person in Kevin's email. It leads her to the security cameras fit in the vacation house where James, Grace and June recorded the footage, shown in the start of the movie. The man pretending to be Jimmy, calls June and shows up to June's doorstep, telling her that she knows things about Grace. He then unmasks his face and June gets to know that it is her father, James. June gets emotional and goes into a state of shock. June opens the door. James reveals that her mother's real name is Sarah, and she took her away when she was young. He also adds that she lied to put James in East Ham prison to deprive him of her. James' face matches with the Uber driver who took Grace to LAX airport. June gets a call from Vina. As June rushes to accept the call, James kidnaps her. The movie then shifts to the same vacation footage, which shows the tantrums of James towards Grace. The security cameras at the old vacation house show James getting out of his car and dragging June inside the house. He ties her up to a chair and goes out to the backyard in the storeroom where he had kept Grace. Grace fights James in the attempt to flee from the storeroom to rescue her daughter. Grace saves June. James escapes from the storeroom and locks both in the room June was tied in. June calls for help on the camera app open on her MacBook, but it is of no use. Then she reaches out to Javier for help through her smartwatch by instructing him to go to her Instagram profile to jot down the coordinates for the vacation house in the photo she had recently posted, in the attempt to inform the authorities about James. The signal drops and James comes in to assault Grace and June. James shoots Grace, which knocks her down. James tries to attack June too, however, he gets stabbed in the neck by Grace. James tries to find the nearest hospital, but he dies soon afterwards. As Grace is knocked down, June calls out for Siri to dial 911 through by speaking in the security camera. The SWAT team secures the premises, and the camera zooms out to one of the episodes of Unfiction adapted to the story of the abduction of June's mother, Grace. In the closing scene, the bond between June and Grace has strengthened. Also, Javier has made ties with his son, who was not around for the past 3 years. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.